Now then, witches and beautiful souls, welcome back to another Moot Loot episode on the Bell Witch podcast with me, Swailes, the friendly green witch. My guest today is a name you will recognise from around bookshops and the spiritual scenes. Our guest today is the wonderful, lovely Liz Dean, author of 26 books and decks. Liz started off as a tarot reader in London in 2010, where she read cards with the Psychic Sisters in the famous Selfridges down in London town. Right posh. And is such a lovely, warm, welcoming, down-to-earth guest who I could have spoken to for absolute hours and hours. And so, because it was such a chunky interview, this one will be another two-parter episode. Welcome to my new Patreon members, Card Readings with Jamie, Andrew Match, Catherine and Julie 1980. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you like it and stay as a paid member. Your membership helps the Bell Witch podcast to flourish and thrive. The funds do directly go into the show, and I'm so thankful for that. Thank you for supporting me on this little witchy endeavour. You can join for as little as £1.50 per month plus fees, and that is like a cup of tea for this witch. And the video to this podcast will be there too, in which you can see Liz pointing out details in a beautiful new deck. Other ways you can support the Bell Witch is leave ratings and reviews wherever you listen. I could really do with some on Apple Podcast if that is where you get your shows. Lovely reviews such as, I really been enjoying this podcast, such a down-to-earth and lovely host with such a calming voice and very knowledgeable and helpful for a beginner witch. Thank you, Emla Urin. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Shall we do another one, just because they're so nice to read? I can really recommend this podcast. Excellent delivery, topics always informative and interesting, and a great sense of humour too. I won't miss an episode. And that's from Kate Raven. Thank you. I really do like reading these. They make my absolute day. Oh, she's all mushy now. She's all mushy. Okay, I'm going to hit play on the interview. Enjoy, witches. My dear listener, welcome to another episode of the Bell Witch podcast. Another fabulous Moot Loot episode. With me today, I have a fellow Northern lass. May I introduce Liz Dean, tarot reader, teacher, author and divine worker with 26 books and decks to her name. Welcome, Liz.
Oh, hi, Swailes. Yeah. Thank you so much for that introduction. When anyone says 26 books, I look back and I just think, was that really me? In fact, we were just chatting before we went to recording about how you look back on the things that you did years ago or 20 years ago and you're like, you know it was you, but it's almost at the same time, part of it seems like another person, doesn't it? And you almost want to go back and say, wow, did I really do that? Or that could have been better. But we were talking about how it's really good just to keep hold of your old work and own it rather than always thinking, oh, that could be that way, that could be that way. You know, the main thing is that you did it, I think.
You did it and there's a history and your views may have changed. I have a couple of episodes where I don't agree with myself anymore, but I won't delete them. Tell us about your first book.
The first one I wrote was actually a deck, and it was called The Art of Tarot. And that happened, of course, all good things happen by synchronicity, don't they? You know, you're not looking for it. I was not thinking, I desperately want to write a book, but I was working in book publishing. I love books. I've been a reader since the age of about 4. I just taught myself. It's just, you know, give me maths and numbers. No. Words, yes, it's just the way my brain is. And it was just I think it was probably one of those old Janet and John storybooks that all of a sudden I remember the moment when the words came together and they meant something. I thought I could read. I remember it like some revelation. I know it's a really odd thing to remember from your childhood. So I suppose in some ways it would be natural that I'd gravitate to books through work. But then when it came to have an opportunity to write something, I'd done some readings for my old boss when we'd been travelling away for work, one of the book fairs. And then she just came to me one day and said, I'd like to do a tarot and I think you could write it. And I was like so excited, but also scared. And that was in 2000, 26 years ago. I can't quite believe it now.
God. Yeah.
And so the first baby book was born. And it's amazingly, it's still in print after 26 years. To have something that's still being published is, I never thought that would happen. So you can still buy it. I mean, it's just The Art of Tarot. Then it was reissued a few years back as The Magic of Tarot. It had a little facelift, a bit of a glow up, but it's still the same book, still the same card deck. And I think a lot of beginners have got into tarot through that deck because it's very gentle. And I would remember sort of going around friends' houses and seeing it, thinking, did you buy that? And they didn't know it was me. They got it for themselves or say their daughter. So I think it's worked its way into a number of households. So I like to feel that'll be my legacy. That a few people might have an Art of Tarot or Magic of Tarot on their bookshelf. But that felt very special to me.
I think I've got it. Is it purple?
Yes.
Is it a purple deck?
Have you got it?
Yeah, I've got it. I'm somewhere in my many decks. Yeah, I've got it. I see it. In fact, last week I was in Waterstones, right? And it was on the shelf. And I was saying to my kids, I'm interviewing that witch next week. I'm interviewing. And they're like, yeah, whatever. And I'm like, no, honestly, I know people. Okay?
You do.
You'll have seen this witch's name all over the shop because, like you say, you've got loads of decks and books, and they're very popular in like spiritual realm places.
Yeah.
Which must feel so good. You must feel really proud of all the achievements of the books.
Yeah, I do. When people say it to me like that. But for me, it's my life. This is day to day. Tarot is the centre of my world creatively and spiritually. And it's been my guide through all of this. I think it's helped me hold on to my creative self when I felt challenged or not good enough, or should I be doing this? You know, we always ask that question of ourselves, don't we? I remember when I used to read cards in Selfridges, every week I'd say, okay, spirit, goddess, you know, whatever the divine intelligence is, if I'm meant to be doing this, give me a sign. Send me the right people. If any point I'm not meant to be reading, just stop the people, give me a sign, let me know. And I think I always got the people, they kept coming. And that was kind of gave me the faith, really, to say this is right for me. And I knew it, but occasionally when you're in a very commercial environment, you know, you're in a big shop and there's just a few of you that are in this magical space, it can feel like, oh God, is this a bit overwhelming? Like, is this right? And yeah, and I've always had the yes, and I keep doing it until I'm guided not to do it anymore. And that embraces, you know, the writing and the teaching. And I do a lot of tarot conferences, so I've had to learn to be a speaker. And it sounds dead easy, you know, when you see other people on stage, and even you see people doing TED Talks on YouTube, and you think, oh, it looks so easy. Oh my God. You know, when you're on the stage.
It's so hard.
And the biggest one was 200 or 300 people live. And you're like, is this real? But you do it. There's a lot of nervous energy there, but I think it does help you grow. So it's a kind of saying yes to everything, being challenged, so that you keep growing in ideas, and that I've got more ideas for books. Because, you know, if you just stay with the same thing, I don't know, change is natural, isn't it? And then I come up with a new idea, or something comes to me. As I'm getting older, I feel I'm getting much more into this allowing rather than seeking, and just saying, like, can I be positioned to see the things that are meant for me? And if they're not, and that is fine. But you really have to grow into that, don't you? That sense of being really comfortable in your own skin and just think, this is my path. It's not that thing over there that someone else is doing. It's whatever I allow to come to me. So yeah, making space for that has been quite an interesting practice, and just seeing where it leads. You know, it might be another book, but it might be another course, or it might just be a few months of just being in the garden or being in nature. Because I love doing divination in nature as well. That's really powerful for me. I live right by the sea here, and I do cold sea swimming. Because I say that throughout the year, because the sea in the North Sea in Sunderland, it's cold in summer as well. So it doesn't make any difference, just the air temperature's better. But being in the water, I love water. I find it's very healing, it's very freeing. And because you actually feel the water supporting your body, there's something in that as well that allows you to trust and go with the flow of life, which I think I'm trying to embrace more with my creative and spiritual practice as well. It's just that allowing and trusting. So that's a very long answer to your question, isn't it? I didn't know where I was going to go with that.
No, it's fine.
So no, that's where it goes in conversation, doesn't it?
I think when you find your true path, your true calling, and there's a big element of trust, which I talk about a lot on the podcast, like the trust in the universe or the goddess or the higher realm. I struggle quite a lot with that because I know if I public speak, I'd be further along than what I am, but I have such a deep rooted fear of being perceived, and I don't know where it's come from. It must be my childhood. The podcast helps with that. People go, "You're scared of public speaking, you've got a podcast." It's like, well, yeah, because the only person who's perceiving me right now is the guest, and then not me direct. So it's like a shield, isn't it? I do need to get over that. I do, and I will eventually. I will, but
I think it just comes to you in different ways. But you can probably reach way more people doing what you're doing on a podcast than a one-off conference talk for 2 hours. I mean, I don't know. It's how it works for you. I mean, and I really understand that. I kind of wanted to have a shield around you. It took me 5 years to do a website. 5 years, because I just couldn't get my head around it. It was like, I'm going to, and that would sound crazy now. I mean, I've only had my website for probably 10 years. And even to go on Instagram felt like a really big deal, because some things don't come naturally, but you always find your own way. If it's not that, it's that. So I think it's, for me, I was just giving myself the courage to try different things and say, hey, what's comfortable in this? Because it doesn't have to be anything or everything.
Yeah. Like you say, a few years ago, the thought of doing a podcast would have been like, no way, no way. So it's amazing what you can achieve if you just trust and have faith in yourself and follow your intuition, because I know a big part of your work is intuitive based in terms of tarot reading. Do you want to speak a little bit about that, how you work with intuitive?
Yeah, I do. And it's in one way I say to students and workshops, go with your intuition, and we spend a lot of time learning to trust what we feel and see with our senses. But at the same time, I have written 26 books. So it's like, I think the book side of it is very left brain. So I separate tarot study from live tarot reading. Because when you're with the cards, we need to be in the sacred present, because this is the point in which anything and everything becomes possible, when you're really present, right? If you keep going back to the book to find out what the card means, you're going out of that sacred presence. You're going into that left brain, that bit that wants to critique, judge, understand. I always say, read the book for enjoyment, for curiosity, when you're not reading your cards. And that will go in. Just trust that the knowledge you need from that book will embed itself. And then when you're reading, what will come out? But you don't have to be conscious of it. You can just set up a flow via your intuitive response. So I say to people, here's a card. What symbol calls you? Don't worry about what that card means. It's such a pressure for people to think, I've got to know 78 card meanings before I can even begin. It's like, no, tarot is meant for you. It's meant to speak to you and what is important for you, to get the messages you need, and it will give you a symbol. So say you look on a card, say the High Priestess, and I say, where do you go? And it'll be, I go to the moon crown. What is that moon telling you? And oh God, that feels exciting to me. It feels magical. It feels wise. It's like, okay, talk to me about that. What does the color feel to you? Oh, the robes are flowing. So, okay, so this is about intuition, deep wisdom and flow. It's like, there you've got your meaning. Now you can read a tarot card. And then that gives people confidence, faith in themselves. And then they can go to other cards and say, what's my first impression? And then read the book separately. And then at a certain point, those two responses integrate. So you can bring in the knowledge without it blocking your intuition. Because if you go into thinking and overthinking, you can't get through the portal. You can't get into that intuitive space of conversational flow. Because everything happens in conversation. That's where we feel a deep shift. I had this reading when I was at Psychic Sisters in Selfridges, and this woman came in and she just sat there, and I said, okay. She didn't want to talk. And I thought, all right, some people have been through whatever and they don't want to talk. It's nice if even if they just say their name or a little bit, but she didn't. Did the reading. It drained me completely. And at the end it was like, okay, well, I don't know what that was, but I just gave what I could. Then I went to the till and I heard her talking to her friend. It was, oh, that was fantastic. It was brilliant. It was spot on. I thought, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, love, because I really didn't.
You earned your money that day.
I certainly did. And I get that some people, that's what they want. But that's not the kind of reading that kind of lights me up. Because if you get to read and then you can at least talk about it, then something changes. You come out of that reading with a kind of shift. So for me, it is about getting into the conversational flow. It doesn't mean I'm asking people to say, tell me all about yourself. It's just a little response occasionally means that they get the benefit of that energy, because you're creating an energy together, which is in the kind of
it's an exchange,
space.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Exactly,
It is.
yeah. In terms of tarot then, where does the information come from on a tarot card? Is it all inside yourself, the reader, and the tarot just helps you bring it out? Or is there like a spirit connected, or what would you say?
I get that it's through symbol, whatever's on the card, right? And the symbol can be a colour, it can be the number, it could be an object, a person, a little finger, a necklace, a cross, water, landscape features, a feel. All of that is symbolic, and symbols activate our intuition. Now, with intuition, I think it works in many ways, but here are two of them. One is to bring out your own deep wisdom, right? Your own inner knowing. So whatever is under the surface, that is it's an amazing thing we all have, we have this deep inner compass that knows us so well, and it needs to be heard, right? So you hear yourself, you hear your intuition, but also if you work with gods and goddesses and guides and angels and ancestors and loved ones in spirit, I feel that is the portal to that wisdom as well. You may also see it as the collective consciousness, Jung's idea of the psychic internet, that we tap into that and then we become connected with all knowledge that exists in that present moment. We can call it what we choose to call it, but we're going to covenant with that spirit, with that energy, with that divine intelligence. So for me, it's both, right? It always brings out what's in me, right, inside me, but it may also bring in the guides as well. And if I'm reading for someone else, their guides may come to me. They may not. The other person's intuitive knowing, their deep wisdom may come to me so that I can hand it back to them and say, this is what I'm getting for you. I know that you're concerned about this relationship, that this is happening and we're thinking about this. And they're going, oh God, that's what I just said to my best friend before I came here, like word for word. So I'm sometimes like an intuition validator. That means I'm giving that person themselves back because it's nothing to do with me. I just try to be the best guide, channel, or reader that I can be. I just want to give it back to them, because the thing you don't want is dependence, or this idea that you're a guru and that they come back to you and you know all this stuff about them. I don't. It's only know what I'm given at the time. They know best for themselves, and it's just reminding them they can get reconnected, because a lot of people come for readings just because they've lost their sense of connection. It's Liz, I would usually feel it, and why can't I feel it? And sometimes it's because of anxiety, stress, self-doubt. That blocks their own intuitive pathway. And if I could get that out of the way, then they reconnect, then they can manifest, then you can heal, then you can help others. So it's good for everybody. It's my mantra with it. It's good for everybody.
Nice. Yeah. For me personally, because I grew up with tarot, my mum was an amazing tarot reader, psychic.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
And she'd done that since she was a teenager. I mean, she died over 20 years ago today. It's a bit weird, actually, because it's today, like her anniversary of her death is today.
Okay, all right, yeah. Thank
quite
you.
Funny, actually, that
Yeah, and she's a tarot reader.
She loved a tarot, and the way she used tarot was the way I always thought that was how you did it, using it to connect with spirit, because she was also a psychic medium, and she was very good at talking to the other side or upstairs, as she used to say. So for a long time, I thought tarot and spirit went hand in hand, and was shocked when I realised, no, people aren't spiritual, they just read them because they can, and they don't have to do anything like woo. That just proper shocked me, like.
Yeah. So you saw it through like the lens of everything, because there are different levels at which you can read, and some people want to read as intuitive tarot readers, other people are mediums and they bring spirit through. I think it's just, there's no hierarchy in that. it's like however you read is how you're meant to read. And in some readings, I'll just do my intuitive card reading, right? Other people, I'll bring someone in. But I always say, that isn't the core of what I do. If there's someone in spirit you really want to talk to, please go to a medium, because that's what they specialize in. Because I don't guarantee that. I just take what's there and give it back in the moment. So there's so many different levels at which you can operate. And sometimes just reading the cards, reading the cards gives you everything. Whether you've got an angel presence or not, it almost doesn't matter, because those symbols are showing you what you need to see in the moment about yourself so that you can go forward. And getting to know your symbols through working with cards is really important, because I don't know whether you feel this as well, but you know, when you're thinking about something, or I feel very drawn to, like, I don't know, it could be birch trees in my upcoming deck. I really love the silver birch. There's a lot of birch trees in it. And then I'll go out after doing a reading and I'll see silver birch and a silver birch and a silver birch. And then I'll see a paint chart with a set paint colour and it'll be silver birch. And then I start seeing silver. You know, the way your brain kind of organises itself to pattern recognition. And then it all comes back at me, because that symbol, and also for me, that's the universe coming back saying, that's really important.
We've just been looking at wallpaper and guess what it had on it?
Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
I'm looking at wallpaper for the hallway and I want trees. And I've found this beautiful silver birch like on duck egg. And that is the one. And then you're talking about silver birch trees. Yes, universe, I hear you.
That's amazing synchronicity, because I actually pulled 2 cards for you before we connected, because I like to pull a few cards. And one was the Knight of Wands. So for me, that's all about kind of fire energy and getting like a huge rush and a download, perhaps, of energy and activity to go and create what you want to create next. And then the next card is the High Priestess. And she is sitting between silver birch trees.
Wow.
Guardians of the temple. And I looked at that card and I felt, no, that's right. For Swailes, I said to myself, that feels right. The Knight of Wands is that's the being busy with activity. But the High Priestess is like where you're at. That's the card for you, with that deep knowing. And also there's a leadership in this that comes forward for me as well. This kind of leadership that's coming. And I think the Knight of Wands is bringing a bit of fire. So there's a bit of fire there and there's a bit of water. So that's it. Yeah. So I just thought I'd share that with you.
Have a look at the Knight.
Yes, I'll show you the Knight. I love him.
Oh,
you can see
so
he again is in the forest. Many of the cards are all centered in the enchanted forest, because for me this is the place of magic and possibility. And there he is. He has a bow and arrow, and he's about to shoot a flaming arrow through the trees.
He's aiming, isn't he?
He's aiming, yeah. And he's taken aim, and this is precise. This is a very precise aim. It's a little bit like the Temperance card, but a bit more exciting. So, so something is going to set you alight. There'll be something that really warms you and inspires you. So that's coming. And you integrate that into your priestess wisdom. But that was really important to me in the deck, was trees. I've got a whole wall here in my office, which is a forest of silver birch, but very young silver birch saplings with magpies. So I have 14 magpies on the wall. I used to have it behind me so that when I did Zooms, everyone would see the magpies. But then I reasoned, well, I can't see them. So I've completely swapped my office around so that I can see the birds. And outside the house is a huge sycamore tree, which feels like my tree of protection. So that's very important for me, with being able to create this deck with all this, I don't know, this magic of nature and animals and birds. And
this segue is very nice, because the main reason you're on the podcast today is to talk about your brand new gorgeous deck, the Heart's Path Tarot.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Here it is. It looks beautiful. So this is coming out very soon, is that right?
Yeah, it's June the 26th, but you can pre-order now.
Yeah, do you want to talk us through it and how it came about?
I was really excited about this because I started talking about it with Hay House a few years ago, and it's a publisher that I've known for a long time. I used to be a co-editor of Kindred Spirit magazine, and I got to know Hay House really well during that time on the magazine, because we'd be interviewing some Hay House authors. We get to know their books and what they do, and they're just really amazing people to work with, just so creative. And so when this possibility came up, I was like, wow. And you know what? They let me lead it, and actually said you can write about your life in the guidebook. And I'm like, what? Because my last big deck was Game of Thrones Tarot for Chronicle Books with HBO, which is a completely different kettle of fish, because you're having to be true to the show, true to the characters, the actors, all of that. And it's an entirely different process. You're not putting yourself in it. You're using all your wisdom, your tarot expertise, right? And it's creative, but it's not like I'm going to put my story in that, because that wouldn't be appropriate for the show. So with this, they're like, well, you can write about yourself and how you found your way to your heart's path. I'm like, can I? It was almost hard to do. It felt really vulnerable. And because of that, I think it's felt more connected, more, I don't know, it just felt really true to who I am. And I'm really grateful for that opportunity to be able to talk a little bit about how I came to tarot and how I recognized and understood my sensitivity, which at work in my 20s was such a thing, because it's like I felt like I wasn't allowed to have feelings. I had one boss who actually said to me, will you stop saying I feel whenever you talk about something? You should say I think. Yeah, I wasn't allowed to say I feel. And I was in a really creative role. I was commissioning spiritual authors, which I loved. And I met lots of people that way and got to learn about lots of different incredible healing modalities as well. But the boss was like, I felt I was made really small by that. And if I had any emotion, it was like, don't show it. When you feel like you're the one being the drama queen, the one in the corner crying because you're like, you can feel everything in the room and you're taking that on. And I really learned something about myself that day. So in a sense, I'm grateful to that publisher. It showed me very much what I didn't want and very much who I was. And when I went to start reading professionally, then I found a tribe of other readers who were just like me. I didn't have to edit my conversation at work, and that became work. And it was an incredible opportunity to be able to read professionally. At Selfridges, I did 8 hours a week for about 7 years, and I learned so much really about people. And again, that came to me because I wasn't looking for it. It came to me through my contacts in publishing. And I was like, shall I do this? Really? I was like, okay. So I've learned to trust when people ask me to do things or open the door and think, okay, this is easy, then it's meant to be. If I have to knock about 5 times, just don't do it. It's all a learning, isn't it? It's all a learning. But I know I was supposed to be talking about the deck. Yes, I'll come back to it. That was working with Hay House. So they allowed me to tell my story and to be able to really direct the cards in the way that felt right for me. We worked with a fantastic artist called Kat Fedora. Hello, Kat, if you're listening. And she's in America. And her style is gorgeous. We worked a long time just to put the cards together. Yeah, so the Heart's Path feels like it's just the right description of my journey towards my own knowing and what the deck can offer other people. And that it's designed really for those who love nature, who are empaths, which is a lot of us out there. And it's a gentle but really powerful set of symbols and paintings which draw you in to that magical place of also feeling safe. There aren't cards that are there to kind of scare you, or, particularly if you're a beginner. I love the cards that people see as dark, as the shadow. I love it because then we're getting to the truth. The truth is often in the shadow. So the big guns, like the tower, the lightning struck tower, or the death card. And the Hanged Man is a beautiful card of spiritual incubation. It's the counterpart to the Empress, Mother Earth, Gaia, the creator. We can begin to see the shadows in a way that's really positive. And then we understand the shadow within. A fantastic tarotist and psychologist and author called Juliet Sharman Burke did a great conference talk once, and she described the shadow as being, and she said, and I paraphrase, and apologies, Juliet, if you're listening, she said, if you don't deal with the shadow or the monster within, we keep meeting it in our lives through other people. So it manifests and it keeps manifesting unless we look at it, and tarot helps us look at that. So even though this is a deck that I find very joyful, we can't avoid the shadow, the dualities. It's part of tarot. It's part of the structure of the 78 card deck. And that we're always looking at the light and the shade. And we sometimes find something in the shadow that is gold. And that's what Jung said as well. There is gold in the shadow. Because that's where the seeds grow. That's where they have to be in order to germinate, in order to create their own form. And
Yeah.
it's our work to
No,
look
you-
at that. It's like we don't plant seeds and just ignore them and just, we don't, we have to go into the dark place to see what's happening sometimes. And I feel like with this deck, we can go into the dark, but not in a way that's going to completely make us feel too disturbed or run way into the shadow sometimes. And the deck helps with that too. That's interesting. I've never really talked about that before until you asked me. So it's made me,
the dark side.
Yeah, it's great when you get questions because it really makes you actualize or activate maybe ideas I've had about that for a while. But until you talk about it, it doesn't become real.
When I look at tarot to buy, if I'm allowed to, I always look at specific cards. And the Tower, I think it's the dark cards I look at. I look at Death, Tower, Three of Swords, always.
Yes.
And the Empress, mostly. And then because the Fool's always at the front, so you see that one. But then 4 cards, I'm like, I've got to check if I like them.
That's really interesting, isn't it, that you say that? Because they're very important cards, aren't they? And I was looking at the Three of Swords in this deck just last night because I was thinking about reversed cards in readings and how we see symbols differently when they're reversed and that they can create different meanings so that we can get our own shadow meanings from reversed cards rather than just being told, oh, it's all really, really bad. And the card's upside down. And a lot of readers don't read reversals for that reason because people just think, oh, it's terrible. And it's not. Again, that's the power in the shadow. That's the Three of Swords. So instead of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, big stabbing heart with rain, I did it with kittiwakes crying in the sky. So they're fighting.
I love the sky.
Yeah.
I love it. That red.
Yeah.
That ferocious red.
It's ferocious. So there's anger, and anger has to come out as well. It's not just sorrow, the tears, the blood rain. And it's across the top of the forest, isn't it? It's in the air. So this is really keenly felt, and we just have to let it happen. And there's some tower-like thunderbolts on this as well, because I wanted to try to tune certain cards in together. And this is the Tower, and I did this as a stone tower, mainly because initially I couldn't bear the thought of a tree on fire because everything is in the forest, but also for stone to crack and collapse, something colossal has to have happened. So I did stay with the traditional stone for this. But we have the flames and the black night and the 2 figures falling.
Yeah, that one's very traditional, isn't it?
It is. That's probably about as traditional as it goes in this deck because everything else. And I'm going to show you the Death card. You see here we have a woman in profile. I'm just describing for listeners. And she is holding a skull. And from this skull, there's a vine. There's new life and seeds have grown from the inside of the skull and are wrapping themselves around a dead tree and bringing it back to life. And in the distance, you can see some shadowy figures. This tiny, you see the little shadows of people within the trees.
In the middle.
So this is what we have to leave behind, but we can remember.
And I love the dawn. There's
the
dawn at the back.
Yeah, because you can read that as a dawn or a sunset, a beginning or an end. And I like the way she's holding the skull with reverence. They say this is a sacred time. It's not a time that should be seen as terrible, or we have to honour those who have passed and honour the effort, the version of us that was in that past place, and let go. It's how we become, that's how we grow, I guess, isn't it? Become new. So that was my take on the Death card, because I always wanted something that was different. And I'm remembering, I'm not going to a tangent now because I've remembered that you like the Empress as well. So the Empress card here.
Look at all that green.
Yeah. There's a lot of green in this deck. In fact, the reverse of the cards are all green as well. The back of the cards.
Oh my God, I can't wait to get my hands on it.
I wanted roots coming from her toes, going down into the earth so we can see the earth on the card. And of course, she's pregnant and we can see her pregnancy. I think that's really important as well. And I have her holding a corn dolly of harvest. And you see a little doll there. I've always loved corn dolls. So that's the harvest of fertility. Yeah, that's the abundance coming.
Make sure to tune in next week when we will hear the second half of Liz's interview all about her brand new deck. I shall link all the places in the show notes below, and do feel free to connect with Liz to talk about all things tarot. Have a lovely week, witches. Stay magical.